Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today I wanted to give you guys a bit of a sneak peek on the cross-server wilderness that's going to be coming this week. We're not going to be able to give you like the full details on everything, but we are going to probably be able to give you enough to navigate it and kind of know where to go from here. So, spent a lot of time talking to thinbear today, learning about this and kind of going through the resources with him. We're going to talk about what's going to really benefit your character, what maybe your farming routine is going to look like, and what the interactions you can expect are going to be between servers. So let's go ahead and dig in. So first off, I'm a little bit sick still, guys, so I apologize if you're hearing me being a little nasally. Let's talk about what you can benefit from actually doing this content. So the pictures are a little bit off center here, but you can see here that you get some pretty nice stats. You get nice elemental attack up, you get HP up, defense, and attack. I believe this picture is the total stats of the cube. So the cube is something that you're going to be building up essentially, and you're going to be inserting essentially these pieces onto the cube on different sides of the cube. So when you first get the cube, when you are entering into this content, you have two sides of the cube unlocked. You can level the cube and then you can put these pieces into the cube. These pieces can have up to 3 additional stats on them, so you can get up to 3 280 attacks if you really wanted to. Plus it has the base attack, defense, and HP. You might be wondering what the mystery stats are here in Korean in the middle. This is going to be applying penetration. Now, what's a little bit different about this content than what you might be used to, maybe a lot of you guys, if you've played War of the Visions or you've been a content, followed my content for a long time, when you are running in the wilderness here, when you're either fighting monsters or what have you, the penetration stat is going to be one of your most important things that you want to keep track of. In order to get to the next floor, you're going to have more penetration. I believe the second floor, the threshold is 600 penetration in order to reach there. What penetration essentially does is it enables you to bypass the monster's defenses in order to deal more damage. Now, this is also going to be applicable to other players as well. So for example, a player with really high penetration could potentially do more damage than a player with 3 million CP that just went into the zone for the first time, right? Because the amount of penetration that player has means they're going to be able to deal more damage to the opponent, and they could potentially kill them, you know, when you're not expecting it. So penetration is going to be very important. I think most of the time high CP players will still be the most powerful and the most relevant because they'll probably be doing this content, but it is important to note that CP is not really everything here. It's going to be a combination of CP, and it's going to be a combination of your character's penetration as well. So how do you get this penetration stat? That's going to be from leveling up your cube. It's going to be from adding on different faces of your cube, adding on different pieces on each face to get you those stats increased for your character. Now, in terms of the PvP is pretty interesting, and you do have PvP areas, you also have peaceful areas, and you do also have towers that you can claim for your own server. So for example, if my server, Onyx Cancer, claimed one of the towers, I could then go and I could get a buff from that tower. I believe you can get it up to twice, so that you can have like an hour-long buff of the enhanced drop rate. You can then go and farm, and your server will own that tower for 4 hours, okay? Now, the way that this works on the Korean side, on the Taiwanese side, as I was talking to thinbear, is that a lot of the high-level guilds across the different servers have it worked out so that different guilds or different servers get the towers at different times throughout the day. So there is actually a schedule for the towers and for the servers, and for the most part, people don't mess with that schedule because it's a lot easier for everybody just to get along here instead of rampantly killing people. Now, most of the time right now, people are going to be rampantly killing people, but I imagine it'll probably settle down and we'll probably get some type of routine. Someone from Light, someone from LG, you know, Musica, all of these top guilds, they're all just going to have a conversation and figure out, you know, what day, what server is going to get, for example, the environmental floor. Now, you do only get 30 minutes of farming time a day. So when I was talking to thinbear about what his farming routine was, he said he would go in and farm for about an hour. Now, keep in mind, thinbear is a free-to-play player, and he is not going to have access to, say, a lot of the things that paid players would, or potentially time extensions that players might have if they are spending different resources. So thinbear literally goes in when they have claim of the tower. He farms the highest level that he can. The reason you want to farm the highest level is because you get the stones, which give you an increase in your penetration, right? So you want to get the stones that insert into your square, into your space-time square, in order to get higher penetration for your character. You also get more materials to enhance those, to increase your penetration, to move on to the next floor. If that isn't confusing for you guys, I've been trying to wrap my head around this. It's definitely going to be a pretty complex system, and there's going to be a lot of things going on here. So let's talk about some of the materials you can expect to see. So the important resources here, I will post this on a pinned comment for you guys to see. Unstable time stone, so it can supplement the basic use time in the Cross Silver Wilderness. So it increases for 10 minutes. You can get 6 in the Ice Jade store every week. 5 can be bought with Ice Jade, and 1 can be obtained for free. You must buy it every week. Complete time stone, it can be added to the time in the Cross Silver Wilderness, and 1 increases by 10 minutes. Ice Jade, so a lot of you guys were wondering about the actual Ice Jade store. So Ice Jade is obtained by fighting monsters on the map, can be used to exchange for items in the Ice Jade store, of course. Time reversal spell document, so when strengthening a fragment fails, the damaged fragments can be restored. Frost space-time energy, it can be obtained by fighting monsters on the map, and it is used to improve the growth materials of the Yaqueris cube. Down here you can see the shards, just an example of some of the shards. You can get them by fighting monsters on the map. Each floor has shards of different ranks. The first place in the king and the same group will get starry fragments. The penetration resistance value can be checked on the space-time debris record. So on floor 1, you get stages 1 to 3 and star fragments. On level 2, you get stages 4 to 6 and star fragments. On the 3rd floor, you get 7 to 9 plus star fragments. And on the 4th floor, you get stage 10 to 12. So when I was showing you guys this fragment here earlier, this is a 4th floor fragment from thinbear, and this is going to be maxed out essentially. So this is going to be a fragment, one of the 6 fragments that thinbear has in his cube, in order to max out his cube, give him penetration as well as give him attack. Now, some of the stats here are random. That is important to know. So some of the stats are random on the actual fragments themselves. So you do want to like roll and try to get a fragment that is going to have potentially like 3 attack stats, right? I think one of the ones thinbear showed me was like 2 attack and an HP. So there is a little bit of RNG to it. So you are going to be farming them, you're going to need to check them, and you're going to need to kind of plan which one you are going to want to focus on. So you do have cooking ingredients as well. You're going to be able to cook those ingredients back home at your guild base. There's some other things here that talk about how to improve power. Essentially, it's just to level up. It also talks about how to unlock the next tier. So how do you get to that next tier floor? How do you increase the stats on your character, etc., etc. So you do need to have a penetration value meets the standard. So your penetration has to be, for example, 600 in order to ascend to floor 2. From the same server to the next level, a certain number of cross-server field kings need to be eliminated. So a field king is going to be like a boss that spawns on the floor, and you're gonna have to kill it, right? And these bosses spawn every 12 hours. They aren't connected to time. They're connected to 12 hours from their last death. So That's going to be very important to understand. That might change on the global side. That might be something we need to watch out for. Now, in order to open the second floor, you do need to push the king 15 times. In order to open the third floor, you need to push the king 23 times. And in order to get to the fourth floor, you need to push the king 38 times. Now, one of the other things to consider here is that you do get, I believe it's a server-wide buff. It's either a server-wide buff or enhanced drops from the king himself when you do deal the most damage against him as your server. So for example, the boss is able to be fought by everybody, right? So if Onyx Cancer does the most damage, they're either going to get some type of buff to their drop, or they're, sorry, they're going to get some type of enhanced drops from the enemy himself. So again, sorry if it's sorry guys, I'm literally like surviving here on Dayquil and and hot tea right now, trying to wrap my mind around all this. So I don't have a full understanding of that. The other thing I don't have an understanding of is the level system. So there is no level system. It's all it's all based on penetration. So monsters are going to be rated for each floor, green, yellow, and red. And so the higher they're rated, the more penetration you're going to need to fight them. There is some other small details here, like how to strengthen and enhance some of these shards. A lot of it is just the percentages. So like to go from like a tier 1 to tier 2 is like 100%, tier 2 to tier 3, right, is like 80%. You can see all the details in there. It also talks about the stat randomization as well. But right now I'm dying. But I think we've covered most of the important things. I think if there was one thing that you might want to look at or share with your guild, it would be the summary of cross-server field experience here. We also do have this other resource, which is very simple, I would say. So if you're wanting a really like basic TLDR to share with your guild members, this one's going to be really good for people. So if you have people that can't wrap their heads around it, this is going to be the one to show them. But then if you're wanting the more complex, you're definitely going to want to show them this one right here. Anyway, both of them will be in the description, and I'll link them in the comment section down below. And I will catch you guys next time.